Admiral Sarah Chun stared at the holographic display floating above her command chair, watching the pulsing red that had appeared on their sensors just 3 hours ago. The bridge of the UES Defiance hummed with quiet efficiency around her, but tension crackled in the air like electricity before a storm. "Status report, Commander Hayes," she said, her voice steady despite the knot forming in her stomach. Commander Robert Hayes, a grizzled veteran whose cybernetic left arm whirred softly as he worked the tactical console, looked up with worry etched across his weathered features. "The signal's definitely Zephyrian, Admiral. Military encryption, high priority. But here's the thing that's got me spooked. It's coming from the Shadow Bane." Sarah felt her blood run cold. Every military officer in the galaxy knew that name. The Shadow Bane was Queen Vexandra's personal flagship, a massive dreadnought that had single-handedly decimated entire fleets. It was the ship that had broken the siege of Proxima 7, that had crushed the Calarian Rebellion, that had made the Zephyrian Empire the dominant force in this sector of space. "Are we certain it's authentic?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. Her communications officer, Lieutenant Park, was the best cryptographer in the human fleet. "Verified through 7 different channels, ma'am," Park replied, her fingers dancing over her console. "It's genuine. And, Admiral, there's something else. The distress code isn't just military, it's personal. Queen Vexandra herself is aboard, and according to the signal, she's injured." The bridge fell silent except for the ever-present hum of the ship's engines. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, weighing their options. The Zephyrians had been humanity's reluctant allies for the past 2 years, ever since the Treaty of New Geneva, but calling them friends would be a massive overstatement. They tolerated humans the way a lion might tolerate a particularly clever mouse. Useful occasionally, but hardly worth genuine respect. Queen Vexandra epitomized this attitude. Sarah had met her twice at diplomatic functions, and both times the 7-foot-tall alien warrior had looked at her with those piercing golden eyes as if she were examining an interesting but ultimately insignificant insect. The queen was beautiful in the way a sword was beautiful. All sharp angles and dangerous curves, with silver-blue skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light, and a presence that commanded attention from across a crowded room. "Admiral," Hayes said quietly, "our orders from command were pretty clear about maintaining neutrality in inter-system conflicts. If we respond to this call, we could be walking into a trap," Sarah finished. "Or we could be getting ourselves involved in Zephyrian internal politics. Or we could be making an enemy of whoever attacked the most powerful ship in their fleet." She paused, studying the tactical display. "What's our current position relative to the signal?" 4 hours at maximum burn," reported her navigation officer, Ensign Rodriguez. "But, Admiral, our escort ships are still 3 days out. If we go alone." Sarah stood and walked to the main viewport, gazing out at the star field beyond. The Defiance was a good ship, but she was built for exploration and diplomacy, not for the kind of battle that could cripple a Zephyrian dreadnought. They had decent shields and adequate weapons, but against whatever force had managed to damage the Shadow Bane, they would be laughably outmatched. "Lieutenant Park, can you analyze the distress signal more thoroughly? I want to know everything. When it was sent, how long it's been broadcasting, any information about the nature of their emergency." Park's fingers flew over her console for several minutes before she looked up with a frown. "Admiral, this is strange. The signal was automated, but it's been broadcasting for less than 6 hours. Whatever happened to them happened recently. But here's the weird part. There's no mention of enemy contact. The automated distress protocols should have included tactical information if they were under attack. What kind of emergency would disable a Zephyrian flagship without enemy action?" Hayes wondered aloud. Sarah's mind raced through the possibilities. Mechanical failure seemed unlikely. Zephyrian technology was notoriously robust, and the Shadow Bane was their newest and most advanced vessel. Internal conflict was possible, but the Zephyrian military was fanatically loyal to their queen. That left accident, sabotage, or some kind of natural phenomenon they hadn't encountered before. Rodriguez, plot a course for the signal's origin, but keep us at the edge of sensor range initially. I want to know what we're dealing with before we commit fully. Sarah turned back to her command chair. Hayes, bring all departments to yellow alert. I want damage control teams standing by and all weapon systems ready, but not powered up. Park, keep monitoring that signal for any changes. As the Defiance changed course and accelerated toward the unknown, Sarah found herself thinking about the political ramifications of their decision. Humanity was still the newest member of the Galactic Council, still proving themselves worthy of a seat at the table. Their military was small, but technologically innovative. Their diplomatic corps was young, but surprisingly effective, and their economy was growing rapidly thanks to their talent for trade and negotiation. But they were still seen as the junior partner in most alliances. The Zephyrians, with their centuries of military dominance and vast territorial holdings, barely acknowledged human sovereignty. The fact that Queen Vexandra needed help from anyone, let alone humans, would be a significant shift in the balance of power. Admiral, Park called out, interrupting her thoughts. I'm picking up another signal, very faint. It's human. Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. Human? Are you certain? Yes, ma'am. Standard emergency beacon, but it's weak and intermittent. Whoever it is, they're in bad shape. The mystery deepened. What was a human doing in this remote sector of space, apparently near or aboard the Shadowbane? The nearest human outpost was weeks away, and there were no scheduled missions or trade routes in this area. Time to intercept? Sarah asked. 3 hours, 47 minutes at current speed, Rodriguez replied. Sarah settled into her command chair and activated the ship's internal communications. All hands, this is the Admiral. We are responding to a distress call from a Zephyrian vessel. I want all departments to run full diagnostics and report any anomalies immediately. We don't know what we're flying into, so stay sharp and be ready for anything. Chin out. Over the next 3 hours, the tension on the bridge remained constant but controlled. The crew of the Defiance had been through enough unusual situations together that they trusted their admiral's judgment, even when that judgment led them into potentially dangerous unknowns. As they approached the coordinates, the main screen lit up with the imposing silhouette of the Shadowbane. Even damaged, the ship was a sight to behold. Nearly 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapons, and built with the kind of aggressive elegance that marked all Zephyrian military vessels. But something was clearly wrong. The ship's running lights flickered erratically. Several sections appeared to be completely dark, and, most tellingly, it was drifting rather than maintaining position. Life signs? Sarah asked. Hayes consulted his sensors, detecting approximately 1,200 Zephyrian biosignatures aboard. That's about half their normal crew complement. But, Admiral, I'm also reading human life signs. 2 individuals, both weak, but stable. Humans aboard the Shadowbane, Sarah murmured. This gets stranger by the minute. Any response to our hails? Negative, Park replied. But I'm detecting some kind of interference. Their communications array might be damaged. Sarah studied the tactical display, noting the positioning of the ship's weapons. None were actively targeting them, which was encouraging, but that could change quickly if they were perceived as a threat. Take us to within transport range, but keep our distance. Hayes, can you get a lock on those human life signs? Working on it, got them. They're both in what appears to be the ship's medical bay. Admiral, one of the signatures is extremely faint. The decision crystallized in Sarah's mind. Whatever political complications might arise from this situation, she couldn't ignore human lives in danger. Prep a medical team and have Dr. Kumar stand by in Transport Room 1. I'm going over there personally. Admiral, I have to advise against that, Hayes said immediately. We don't know what caused their problems, and if it's contagious or environmental. Noted, Commander. But if we're going to establish trust with the Zephyrians, particularly in a situation where their queen is vulnerable, showing that level of personal commitment could be crucial. Sarah stood and headed toward the exit. You have the bridge. If this goes sideways, you're to withdraw immediately and report to command. Do not attempt a rescue. Understood, Admiral. But ma'am, be careful. The Zephyrians aren't exactly known for their gratitude. Sarah paused at the door and looked back at her crew. Sometimes doing the right thing isn't about gratitude, Commander. Sometimes it's just about being human. 20 minutes later, Sarah materialized in the transport chamber of the Shadowbane alongside Dr. Kumar and 2 security officers. The first thing she noticed was the smell, ozone, and something chemical she couldn't identify. The second thing was the temperature, which was noticeably warmer than human ships maintained. Emergency lighting cast everything in a red glow, and the corridors that should have been filled with the bustle of a working ship were eerily quiet. Their tricorders led them through passages that seemed designed more for intimidation than efficiency, with high ceilings and angular architecture that made even Sarah, who was tall for a human woman, feel small. "This way," Dr. Kumar said softly, following his medical scanner. "The human life signs are getting stronger." They passed several Zephyrian crew members, who watched them with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity, but didn't attempt to stop them. Sarah noted that many of them appeared to be injured. Nothing life-threatening, but various cuts, bruises, and what looked like energy burns suggested some kind of accident or explosion. The medical bay was larger than the entire bridge of most human ships, with advanced equipment that glowed with soft blue light. But Sarah's attention was immediately drawn to the 2 figures lying on biobeds near the far wall. One was clearly human, a middle-aged man with graying hair and the kind of tan that came from years spent on agricultural worlds. His breathing was shallow but regular, and various alien medical devices were monitoring his vital signs. The other figure made Sarah's breath catch in her throat. Queen Vexandra lay unconscious on the second biobed, but she looked nothing like the imposing warrior Sarah remembered. Her usually perfect hair was disheveled, her silver-blue skin was pale, and, most shocking of all, her chest armor had been partially removed, revealing injuries that the medical scanners were working to heal. "My God," Dr. Kumar whispered. "What happened here?" A new voice answered from behind them, speaking accented but clear English. "An accident. A very unfortunate accident." Sarah turned to see a tall Zephyrian medical officer approaching, his golden eyes fixed on her with an expression she couldn't read. His uniform bore the insignia of a chief medical officer, and his bearing suggested he was used to command. "I am Healer Voss," he said with a slight bow. "You are Admiral Chun, yes? The Queen spoke of you before she lost consciousness." "She did." Sarah was surprised. "What exactly happened here?" Voss glanced around the medical bay, as if checking to see who might be listening before moving closer. "There was an explosion in the engineering section, a cascade failure in one of our new energy systems. The Queen was inspecting the installation personally when it occurred. And the humans? They were consultants. Human technology experts we had brought aboard to analyze some of our recent acquisitions. When the explosion occurred, they were trapped in the same section as the Queen." Sarah looked back at the unconscious figures. Something about Voss's explanation felt incomplete, but she couldn't put her finger on what. "Are they going to be all right?" "The human male will recover fully. His injuries were primarily from impact and some minor energy exposure. But the Queen..." Voss paused, and for the first time, Sarah saw uncertainty in his eyes. "The Queen's injuries are more serious. Not life-threatening, but complicated." "Complicated how?" Voss was quiet for a long moment, then gestured for Sarah to follow him to a more private area of the medical bay. When they were out of earshot of the others, he spoke in a lower voice. "Admiral Chun, I must ask you something that may seem strange. How much do you know about Zephyrian biology?" "The basics. You're silicon-based life forms. You require higher temperatures than humans. Your technology interfaces directly with your nervous systems." "Why?" "The Queen's armor is not merely protection," Voss said carefully. "It is integrated with her biology in ways that most species do not understand. The explosion damaged not just her body, but the interface systems that regulate many of her biological functions." Sarah felt a chill of understanding. "You're saying she's partially cybernetic?" "More than that. The armor is part of her, Admiral. And Removing it to treat her injuries has created complications that we are not certain how to address. Before Sarah could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Her communicator crackled to life with Commander Hayes' voice. "Admiral, we've got contacts approaching. 3 ships, configuration unknown, but they're not broadcasting any identification." Sarah looked at Voss, whose expression had turned grim. "Are you expecting anyone?" "No," he replied. "And given the Queen's current condition, any unexpected visitors could be problematic." As if to emphasize his point, the ship's lighting flickered, and somewhere in the distance, they could hear the sound of weapons charging. Sarah activated her communicator. "Hayes, can you identify the approaching ships?" "Negative, Admiral. But based on their approach vector and formation, they're not here for a social call. Recommend immediate extraction." Sarah looked at the unconscious Queen, then at the human consultant who was still in critical condition, then at Healer Voss, whose eyes held a plea he couldn't voice. "Negative on extraction, Commander. We're staying. But bring the Defiance to yellow alert and prepare for possible combat." "Ma'am, that's an order, Commander." "Chin out." Sarah turned back to Voss. "I assume you have some idea who these visitors might be." "Several possibilities," Voss replied grimly. "None of them good for anyone aboard this ship." As the unknown ships drew closer and the Shadowbane's defensive systems powered up with noticeable reluctance, Sarah realized that what had begun as a simple rescue mission was rapidly becoming something far more complex and dangerous. And at the center of it all lay an unconscious alien queen whose secrets might be the key to understanding not just this crisis, but the future relationship between humanity and the most powerful military force in known space. The approaching ships revealed themselves to be Calarian interceptors, their sleek black holes designed for stealth and quick strikes. Sarah recognized the configuration from intelligence briefings. These were the same ships that had been harassing merchant vessels along the outer rim for months. "Healer Voss," Sarah said urgently, "I need to understand the situation completely. If we're going to defend this ship, I need to know what we're really protecting." Voss glanced nervously at the unconscious Queen, then at the monitoring equipment surrounding her biobed. "Admiral, what I am about to tell you is known to fewer than a dozen individuals in the entire galaxy. The Queen's life and the stability of the Zephyrian Empire depends on this information remaining secret." Sarah's communicator buzzed. "Admiral, the Calarian ships are hailing us," Hayes reported. "They're demanding we stand down and prepare to be boarded. Tell them we're conducting a humanitarian rescue and have no intention of interfering with their operations," Sarah replied. "But make it clear we won't abandon our mission." "Understood, Admiral." Voss led Sarah deeper into the medical facility, to a shielded alcove where the monitoring equipment hummed more quietly. "Admiral Chun, Queen Vexindra is not entirely Zephyrian." Sarah felt her eyebrows rise. "Explain." 15 years ago, when she was still a military commander rather than royalty, she was critically injured in battle against a species called the Vorthak. They use weapons that disrupt cellular cohesion at a quantum level. Essentially, they cause living tissue to fall apart at the atomic level. The healer activated a holographic display showing complex biological readouts. The only way to save her life was to integrate her damaged organs with artificial systems. But not Zephyrian artificial systems. They weren't compatible with the type of damage she had sustained. Sarah studied the readouts, her mind racing. "What kind of artificial systems?" "Human," Voss said quietly. "Specifically, technology developed by Dr. Marcus Webb, the human consultant currently lying unconscious in our primary medical bay." The pieces began falling into place. "That's why there were humans aboard your ship. Dr. Webb wasn't just a consultant. He was maintaining the Queen's life support systems." "More than maintaining," Voss corrected. "The integration was never meant to be permanent. Every 6 months, Dr. Webb performs procedures to update and optimize the human technology that keeps the Queen alive." The explosion occurred during one of these procedures. Sarah felt the weight of this revelation settling on her shoulders. "Queen Vexindra, the most feared military leader in known space, was dependent on human technology to survive. The political implications were staggering. "Does anyone else know about this?" she asked. The Queen's most trusted advisors, Dr. Webb, his assistant, who is the other human aboard, and now you, Voss replied. If this information became public knowledge, the Zephyrian Empire would face a crisis of legitimacy, Sarah finished. Other species would see the Queen as weak, possibly even as a human puppet. Worse, Voss said grimly. The Calarian Coalition has been looking for any excuse to declare the Treaty of Galactic Peace null and void. If they discovered that the Zephyrian military leader was dependent on technology from the species they consider to be upstart newcomers. An explosion rocked the ship, and the lights flickered more dramatically. Sarah's communicator crackled with Hayes' voice. "Admiral, the Calarians have opened fire. Minor damage to their shields, but they're demanding immediate surrender. They claim the Shadowbane is carrying contraband technology." Sarah and Voss looked at each other with sudden understanding. "They know," Sarah said. "Somehow, they know about the Queen's condition. Impossible, vos protested. The security around this information is absolute." Another explosion, closer this time. "Admiral," Hayes continued, "the Shadowbane's weapons are not responding properly. Whatever damage they sustained, their defensive capabilities are severely compromised." Sarah made a rapid decision. "Commander, bring the Defiance between the Calarian ships and the Shadowbane. Full shields, but hold fire unless they target us directly." "Ma'am, the Defiance isn't equipped for this kind of fight." "I'm not planning to fight, Commander. I'm planning to negotiate." Sarah turned back to Voss. "I need to speak with whoever's in command of this ship." That would be General Kethvar, the Queen's second-in-command. "But, Admiral, he does not know about the Queen's condition. As far as he's aware, she was simply injured in an engineering accident." "Then, we need to tell him." Voss looked horrified. "Absolutely not. The fewer people who know." "Healer, look around," Sarah interrupted. "Your ship is under attack. Your Queen is unconscious, and your defensive systems are failing. This isn't the time for secrecy. It's the time for trust." Before Voss could respond, a new alarm joined the others, already echoing through the ship. Dr. Kumar's voice came over Sarah's communicator. "Admiral, you need to get back here immediately. The Queen is going into some kind of crisis." They rushed back to the main medical bay to find Dr. Kumar working frantically alongside several Zephyrian medical technicians. The monitoring equipment around Queen Vexandra's biobed was flashing red, and her breathing had become labored. "What's happening?" Sarah demanded. "The human technology that's integrated with her systems," Dr. Kumar explained without looking up from his scanner. "It's designed to automatically adjust to stress responses, but the explosion damaged the control interfaces. Her body is treating the increasing stress from the attack as a threat, and the artificial organs are overcompensating." Voss moved to a control panel and began inputting commands. "I can try to manually regulate the systems, but I need Dr. Webb-conscious to guide me through the proper sequences." Sarah looked at the unconscious human on the nearby biobed. Dr. Webb appeared to be stable, but showed no signs of waking soon. "How long before she's in real danger?" "At current rate of escalation, perhaps 20 minutes, Voss replied tersely. Another massive explosion shook the ship, and this time the lights went out completely before emergency power kicked in. Sarah's communicator buzzed urgently. "Admiral, the Calarians are demanding to speak with whoever's in charge. They're giving us 5 minutes to surrender before they begin targeting critical systems." Sarah looked around the medical bay at the unconscious Queen whose secret could reshape galactic politics, at DR Webb, whose expertise was crucial to keeping her alive, at Healer Voss, whose loyalty was absolute, but whose knowledge was incomplete, and at her own doctor, whose human medical training might be the key to understanding technology no one else could operate. "Commander Hayes," she said into her communicator, "patch me through to the Calarian commander." "Admiral, are you sure that's wise?" "Probably not, but do it anyway." A few moments later, a harsh voice filled the medical bay through the ship's communication system. This is Battle Commander Zerith of the Calarian Coalition. You will identify yourself and explain your presence in this sector. This is Admiral Sarah Chun of the United Earth Fleet, Sarah replied, moving closer to the communication panel. We are conducting a humanitarian rescue operation aboard the Zephyrian vessel Shadowbane. Humanitarian rescue, Zerith said with obvious skepticism. How touching. Admiral Chun, you will withdraw your vessel immediately. The Shadowbane is carrying stolen technology, and we intend to reclaim it. Sarah glanced at Voss, who is still working desperately to stabilize the Queen's condition. Commander Zerith, this vessel has requested assistance through proper diplomatic channels. Any hostile action against us would be considered an act of war against the Earth Alliance. The Earth Alliance, Zerith laughed harshly. A collection of 300 worlds trying to pretend they matter on the galactic stage. Admiral, you have 60 seconds to withdraw, or we will consider your ship to be in violation of Calarian territorial claims. The communication cut off, leaving the medical bay in tense silence, except for the beeping of monitoring equipment and the distant sound of the ship's engines straining under the stress of maintaining power. Dr. Kumar looked up from his scanner. Admiral, I think I might be able to help Dr. Webb regain consciousness temporarily, but it would be risky in his current condition. Do it, Sarah decided. Ma'am, if something goes wrong. Doctor, if we don't try, the Queen dies, the Shadowbane falls to the Calarians, and whatever technology they're really after ends up in the wrong hands. Take the risk. As Dr. Kumar prepared his emergency stimulants, Sarah activated her communicator again. Hayes, I need you to contact the Galactic Council emergency frequency. Tell them we have a situation that requires immediate diplomatic intervention. Admiral, even if they respond immediately, it would be hours before anyone could get here. I know. Just buy us as much time as you can. Dr. Kumar administered the stimulant to Dr. Webb, whose eyes fluttered open a few moments later. He was clearly disoriented and in pain, but conscious. Dr. Webb, Sarah said urgently, I'm Admiral Chun. You're aboard the Shadowbane, and Queen Vexandra needs your help. Can you understand me? Webb's eyes focused on her with obvious effort. The Queen, the procedure, did something go wrong? There was an explosion, Voss explained quickly. The integration systems were damaged, and now her stress responses are causing dangerous fluctuations. Webb struggled to sit up, wincing with pain. I need to see the readings, and someone needs to check the backup control unit in her armor. Her armor was partially removed to treat her injuries, Voss said. Webb's face went pale. You removed the chest section? Without proper isolation protocols? We had no choice. She was bleeding internally. Oh no, Webb whispered. If the primary control unit was exposed to electromagnetic interference from the explosion, he tried to stand, swaying dangerously. I need to get to her immediately. Dr. Kumar steadied him. Dr. Webb, you're in no condition to perform complex procedures. Then she dies, Webb said simply. And if she dies, the Calarians get exactly what they want. Proof that the Zephyrian military leadership is vulnerable. Sarah felt pieces of the puzzle clicking together. That's what this is really about, isn't it? They don't just know about the Queen's condition. They're trying to expose it publicly. The Calarian Coalition has been planning this for months, Webb confirmed, accepting support from Dr. Kumar as they moved toward the Queen's biobed. They've been gathering intelligence on high-ranking Zephyrian officials, looking for weaknesses they can exploit. Somehow they learned about the Queen's dependence on human technology. But how? Voss demanded. Webb was examining the monitoring equipment around the Queen's biobed, his fingers moving with practiced efficiency despite his injuries. Security breaches happen, Healer Voss. The question now is whether we can stabilize her condition before the Calarians decide to board this ship. As if summoned by his words, explosions began rocking the ship more frequently. Sarah's communicator buzzed. Admiral, they're targeting our engines. Whatever you're planning to do over there, you'd better do it fast. Sarah watched Dr. Webb work, assisted by both Dr. Kumar and Healer Voss, their three different medical traditions somehow finding common ground in their shared concern for their patient. The Queen's condition was indeed critical. The monitoring equipment showed her artificial organs working at dangerous levels, trying to compensate for stress hormones her body was producing in response to the battle. "There," Webb said finally, making a final adjustment to a device attached to the Queen's partially exposed chest. "The control unit is responding again. But, Admiral Chun, I need to tell you something important." Sarah moved closer. "What?" "The technology keeping the Queen alive isn't just human. It's specifically American military biotech from the pre-contact era. If the Calarians get their hands on it, they won't just be able to expose the Queen's dependency. They'll be able to reverse engineer technology that could give them a significant advantage over both human and Zephyrian forces." The weight of this revelation hit Sarah like a physical blow. The implications went far beyond diplomatic embarrassment or even the stability of the Zephyrian Empire. This was about the balance of power in their entire sector of the galaxy. "How much time do we have?" she asked. Webb checked the readings one more time. "Her condition is stabilizing, but the stress from the ongoing attack could cause another crisis within the hour." "And how long would it take to properly treat her?" "At least 8 hours of surgery to properly integrate new control systems and repair the damaged interfaces." Sarah activated her communicator. "Commander Hayes, status report. The Calarians have disabled the Shadowbane's engines. They're moving into boarding position. Admiral, we need to get you out of there now." Sarah looked around the medical bay one more time, at the Queen whose life depended on technology that could reshape the balance of galactic power, at DR Webb, whose expertise was the key to keeping her alive, at Healer Voss, whose loyalty was absolute, and at her own ship that was outnumbered and outgunned. "Negative, Commander. We're not leaving." "Mom." "Hayes, I need you to do something for me. Contact General Kethvar on the Shadowbane. Tell him Admiral Chun requests an immediate meeting to discuss the current tactical situation." "Admiral, what are you planning?" Sarah took a deep breath, knowing that what she was about to do would either save lives and preserve secrets or make everything infinitely worse. "I'm going to tell the General the truth." General Kethvar arrived in the medical bay accompanied by 4 heavily armed guards, his massive frame filling the doorway as he surveyed the scene before him. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, with the characteristic silver-blue skin of a species but bearing numerous battle scars that marked him as a veteran warrior, he commanded immediate attention. "Admiral Chun," he said in accented English, his golden eyes moving from Sarah to the unconscious Queen and back. "I understand you requested this meeting to discuss tactical matters, but I fail to see how the medical condition of our Queen affects our defensive strategy." Sarah exchanged a quick glance with Healer Voss, who looked terrified at the prospect of revealing the Queen's secret to someone outside the inner circle. Dr. Webb, still weak but alert, watched nervously from his position near the Queen's biobed. "General, before I explain, I need your word that what I'm about to tell you will remain strictly confidential until the Queen herself decides otherwise." Kethvar's expression darkened. "Admiral, my ship is under attack, my Queen is injured, and you want to play games with military secrets? Speak plainly or leave my vessel immediately." Another explosion rocked the ship, this one closer than before. Sarah's communicator crackled. "Admiral, the Calarians are launching boarding pods. Estimate 12 minutes before they breach the hull." Sarah made her decision. "General, Queen Vexandra's injuries are not from the explosion alone. She is dependent on human biotechnology to survive, technology that was integrated into her body 15 years ago after a battle with a Vorthack." The silence that followed was deafening. General Kethvar stared at Sarah as if she had just claimed the Queen was actually a mythical creature, while his guards shifted uncomfortably behind him. "That is impossible," Kethvar said finally. "The Queen is the epitome of Zephyrian strength and purity. She would never—" "General," Dr. Webb interrupted weakly, "I have been maintaining her life support systems for over a decade. Without the human technology integrated into her cardiovascular and nervous systems, she would have died long ago." Kethvar turned to Healer Voss, his expression demanding confirmation. Voss nodded reluctantly. "The Admiral speaks truth, General." The Queen's survival required technology that only human medical science could provide. The general's face went through a series of expressions: disbelief, horror, anger, and, finally, a kind of grim acceptance. "Show me," he commanded. Dr. Webb, with Dr. Kumar's assistance, activated a holographic display that showed the Queen's internal systems. The integration of human technology was clearly visible. Artificial organs working in harmony with Zephyrian biology, control systems that regulated functions her own body could no longer maintain. 15 years, Kethvar said quietly. 15 years of victories, of leading our people to greatness, all while dependent on alien technology. Human technology, Sarah corrected. And, General, that's why the Calarians are here. They've somehow learned about the Queen's condition, and they want to expose it publicly. Or worse, Dr. Webb added. If they capture the technology, they can reverse engineer it for their own use. The biotech keeping the Queen alive is based on classified military research that predates First Contact. In the wrong hands, it could give them a significant advantage over both our species. Kethvar was quiet for a long moment, processing this information while the sounds of battle continued around them. Finally, he activated his own communicator. Security Chief Vextar, report. General, we have successfully repelled the first wave of boarding pods, but our defenses are weakening. The Calarians are preparing a second assault. How long can we hold them? Perhaps 30 minutes, General. But without full engine power, we cannot escape, and our weapons are operating at only 40% efficiency. Kethvar closed the communication and looked directly at Sarah. Admiral Chun, why should I trust you with information that could destroy my Queen and my people? Because I'm human, Sarah replied simply. General, your people have spent years treating humanity as junior partners in the galactic community. But right now, we're the only ones who understand the technology keeping your Queen alive. Dr. Webb is the only person in this sector of space who can perform the procedures necessary to save her life. And what do you want in return for this assistance? Sarah was quiet for a moment, considering her words carefully. I want a Queen to wake up and see that humans are more than just convenient allies. I want the Zephyrian Empire to understand that true strength sometimes comes from accepting help, not from pretending you don't need it. Another explosion, and this time the emergency lighting flickered ominously. Kethvar's communicator buzzed. General, the Calarians are hailing us again. They're demanding we surrender the Queen to them for medical treatment. Medical treatment, Kethvar repeated grimly. They want to examine her, don't they? To confirm what they suspect, and then broadcast it across the galaxy. That would be my assessment, Sarah agreed. General, I have a proposition. Speak. My ship, the Defiance, has a fully equipped medical bay and surgical suite. If we can transfer the Queen and Dr. Webb to my vessel, we can perform the necessary procedures while maintaining defensive positions. Transfer the Queen to a human ship? One of Kethvar's guards spoke up. General, that would be unprecedented, Kethvar finished. Admiral Chun, even if I agreed to such a plan, how would you propose to execute it while under enemy fire? Dr. Kumar stepped forward. General, if I may, the Queen's condition is stable enough for transport, but barely. The procedure Dr. Webb described will require several hours of surgery, during which any significant stress could kill her. Then, we need to eliminate the stress, Sarah said. General, what would happen if the Calarians thought the Queen was dead? Kethvar's eyes widened with understanding. They would withdraw to report their success to the coalition leadership. Exactly. We stage her death, transport her to my ship, perform the surgery, and then she can make a miraculous recovery once it's safe to do so. You want me to lie to my own people? To announce that our Queen is dead? I want you to buy us the time necessary to save her life, Sarah corrected. General, how many people aboard this ship know about the Queen's true condition? Kethvar looked at Healer Voss, who replied reluctantly. Perhaps a dozen medical staff who have assisted with previous procedures. They are all absolutely loyal and have sworn oaths of secrecy. Then, they'll understand the necessity of this deception, Sarah said. But, General, I need you to make a decision quickly. The Calarians will breach your hull soon, and once they're aboard, our options become much more limited. Kethvar stared at the unconscious queen, his expression troubled. In all my years of service, I have never known her to show weakness. She has led us through wars, negotiated treaties that preserved our sovereignty, built our military into the most respected force in known space. And now you tell me that all of this was accomplished while she was dependent on technology from a species most Zephyrians consider barely worthy of notice. General, Dr. Webb said softly, strength isn't about never needing help. It's about being strong enough to accept help when you need it, and wise enough to trust the right people with your vulnerabilities. Another series of explosions, closer than before. Sarah's communicator buzzed urgently. Admiral, the Calarians are through the outer hull. They're moving toward the medical section. How long do we have? Sarah asked. Maybe 10 minutes before they reach your position. Sarah turned to Kethvar. General, I need an answer. Kethvar closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them with a look of grim determination. Healer Voss, prepare the Queen for emergency transport. Dr. Webb, can you survive the journey to the human ship? With Dr. Kumar's assistance, yes. Then, we proceed with Admiral Chen's plan. Kethvar activated his communicator. All medical staff, prepare for emergency evacuation procedures. Security Chief Vextar, I need you to implement Protocol 7. Protocol 7, General? But that's only used when the Queen's life is in immediate danger from capture. Yes. Execute it immediately. As the medical staff began preparing the Queen for transport, Kethvar pulled Sarah aside. Admiral, Protocol 7 involves a controlled explosion in the medical bay that will make it appear the Queen died in the attack. But once we implement it, there is no going back. If word spreads that Queen Vexandra is dead, it will create massive instability throughout the Empire. How long before the political situation becomes critical? Perhaps 48 hours before the Council of Nobles begins positioning themselves for a succession crisis. General, if this plan fails, it won't fail, Sarah said with more confidence than she felt. But, General, I need to ask you something. Why are you willing to trust me with this? Kethvar was quiet for a moment, watching his medical staff work with precise efficiency to prepare their Queen for transport. Admiral, 3 years ago, during the siege of Proxima 7, human ships came to our aid when no other species would risk involvement. Your people fought alongside us, died alongside us, asked for nothing in return except recognition as equals in the Alliance. He paused, his golden eyes meeting Sarah's. Today, you came to our aid again when you could have easily ignored our distress signal. You brought medical assistance. You've risked your ship and crew to help us, and now you're proposing to risk a diplomatic incident to save our Queen's life. Either your species is remarkably altruistic or remarkably naive. Maybe a little of both, Sarah admitted. Then perhaps it is time for my people to learn that strength and altruism are not mutually exclusive. The transport preparations were completed with military efficiency. Queen Vexandra, still unconscious but now connected to portable life support systems that Dr. Webb could monitor, was ready for transfer. Dr. Webb himself was mobile, though clearly still in significant pain. Admiral, Kethvar said formally, I am placing the life of my Queen in your hands. Do not make me regret this decision. I won't, General. As they activated the transporters, sending the Queen, Dr. Webb, Dr. Kumar, and essential medical equipment to the Defiance, explosions began echoing through the corridors nearby. The Calarians had reached the medical section. Execute Protocol 7, Kethvar commanded. Healer Voss activated a control sequence, and a series of controlled explosions rocked the medical bay. When the smoke cleared, the biobed where the Queen had been lying was destroyed, and debris was scattered throughout the area. Within minutes, Calarian troops burst into the medical bay, their weapons drawn. Sarah found herself face-to-face with a tall, angular being whose dark exoskeleton gleamed under the emergency lighting. I am Commander Zerith, the Calarian announced. Where is Queen Vexandra? General Kethvar stepped forward, his expression grim. The Queen died during your attack. The explosion damaged her life support systems beyond repair. Zirith examined the destroyed biobed, then turned his attention to Sarah. And you are? Admiral Sarah Chun, United Earth Fleet. I was attempting to provide medical assistance. How convenient that a human medical team was present during the Queen's final moments, Zirith said suspiciously. Tell me, Admiral, what did you observe about the Queen's condition? Sarah chose her words carefully. She appeared to have sustained severe injuries in the explosion that damaged their ship. Despite our best efforts, we were unable to save her. Zirith studied Sarah's expression, clearly looking for signs of deception. After a long moment, he activated his own communicator. Command, this is Zirith. The primary objective has been achieved. Queen Vexandra is dead. A voice responded, Confirmed, Commander. Withdraw your forces and return to base. We have what we came for. As the Calarian troops began to withdraw, Zirith paused at the entrance to the medical bay. Admiral Chun, your presence here was fortuitous. I hope you understand that the death of Queen Vexandra changes the balance of power in this sector significantly. I understand the implications, Sarah replied carefully. I'm sure you do. Until we meet again, Admiral. When the Calarians had departed and their ships had moved away from the Shadowbane, Sarah finally allowed herself to breathe normally again. The immediate crisis was over, but she knew that the real challenge was just beginning. Admiral, Hayes' voice came over her communicator. The Queen and Dr. Webb are secure in our medical bay. Dr. Kumar reports that her condition is stable, but still critical. Understood, Commander. General Kethvar, and I will be returning shortly. As they prepared to transport back to the Defiance, Kethvar placed a massive hand on Sarah's shoulder. Admiral, you have given us hope that the Queen can survive this crisis. But you have also made yourself part of a conspiracy that could have far-reaching consequences for both our species. I understand, General, but sometimes doing the right thing requires accepting those consequences. Indeed. But, Admiral, there is something else you should know. The Calarians' attack today was too well-coordinated, too precisely timed to be coincidental. Someone with detailed knowledge of the Queen's schedule and condition provided them with inside information. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. You're saying there's a traitor among the Queen's inner circle? I'm saying that saving the Queen's life may be only the first challenge we face. Discovering who betrayed her, and why, may prove to be even more dangerous. As they transported back to the Defiance, Sarah realized that what had begun as a rescue mission had evolved into something far more complex. A conspiracy that threatened not just the life of an individual leader, but the stability of the entire galactic alliance. The medical bay of the Defiance had been transformed into an operating theater unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. Human medical equipment worked alongside Zephyrian technology, while Dr. Kumar and Dr. Webb collaborated on procedures that required expertise from both species. Queen Vexandra lay on the surgical table, her silver blue skin pale, but her vital signs stable. The partially removed chest armor revealed the extent of the integration between her biological systems and human technology, networks of artificial organs, and control systems that pulsed with their own inner light. Admiral, Dr. Webb said without looking up from his work, I need you to understand something about what we're doing here. The technology keeping the Queen alive isn't just advanced human biotech. It's prototype military enhancement technology that was never supposed to leave Earth. Sarah moved closer to observe the procedure. What kind of enhancements? The original research was part of Project Prometheus, a classified program designed to create super soldiers who could survive in extreme environments. Enhanced cardiovascular systems, improved neural processing speeds, accelerated healing factors. The Queen isn't just using human technology to survive. She's been enhanced far beyond normal Zephyrian capabilities. The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. Based on these readings, the enhancements have been continuously evolving over the past 15 years. Her reaction times, physical strength, and cognitive processing are all operating at levels that would be impossible for an unenhanced Zephyrian. Dr. Webb paused in his work to look directly at Sarah. Admiral, the Queen's military successes, her strategic brilliance, her ability to inspire absolute loyalty. All of it has been augmented by human technology that she's been integrating with her own biology for over a decade. Sarah's communicator buzzed. Admiral, Hayes' voice reported, "We're receiving communications from across the galaxy. Word of the Queen's death is spreading fast, and the political situation in Zephyrian space is deteriorating rapidly." "How bad?" Sarah asked. 3 different noble houses have already announced claims to emergency leadership. The Calarian Coalition is mobilizing additional fleets, claiming they need to restore order to the region. And, Admiral, we're receiving urgent communications from Earth Command demanding a full report on our involvement in the situation. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of galactic politics pressing down on her. "Any word from General Kethvar?" "He's maintaining radio silence, as planned." "But, Admiral, how long can we keep up the pretense that the Queen is dead?" "As long as necessary to complete the surgery and figure out who betrayed her." Dr. Webb looked up from his work again. "Admiral, there's something else you need to know. The integration process I'm performing isn't just repairing the damage from the explosion. I'm also upgrading her systems with newer technology." "Upgrading how?" "The original enhancements were designed for human physiology. Over the years, I've been adapting them specifically for Zephyrian biology, making them more efficient and more powerful. When the Queen wakes up, she's going to be more capable than she's ever been." Sarah pondered the ethical implications of what they were doing. "Dr. Webb, are we saving her life, or are we creating something unprecedented?" "Both," he admitted. "Admiral, the Queen asked me years ago to continue improving the enhancements. She understood that her role as a military leader required her to be more than just another Zephyrian noble. She needed to be a symbol of strength that could unite her people. But she never told anyone about the source of that strength, because she knew that many of her people would see dependence on alien technology as weakness rather than wisdom." Dr. Kumar interrupted their conversation. "Doctors, I'm detecting some unusual neural activity. The Queen appears to be regaining consciousness." They gathered around the surgical table as Queen Vexandra's golden eyes slowly opened. For a moment, she seemed disoriented, her gaze moving from face to face until it settled on Sarah. "Admiral Chun," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I remember you, from the diplomatic functions." "Your Majesty," Sarah replied formally. "How are you feeling?" The Queen tried to sit up, but Dr. Webb gently restrained her. "Please, Your Majesty, the surgery isn't complete yet." "Surgery," the Queen repeated, and Sarah could see awareness returning to her eyes. "The explosion. Dr. Webb, was my condition exposed?" "We've managed to maintain secrecy," Dr. Webb assured her. "But, Your Majesty, Admiral Chun and her crew have been risking their lives to protect you. The Calarians attacked the Shadowbanes specifically to capture or kill you." Queen Vexandra's expression hardened. "They knew about my condition." "It appears so, Your Majesty," Sarah confirmed. "General Kethvar believes there may be a traitor among your inner circle." The Queen was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. "Admiral Chun, why did you risk your ship and crew to help me?" Sarah considered her answer carefully. "Because it was the right thing to do, Your Majesty, and because I believe that true strength comes from protecting those who need protection, regardless of politics or species. Even when the person you're protecting has been enhanced by technology from your own people." Sarah was surprised by the Queen's directness. "Especially then, Your Majesty. The fact that you've used human technology to become a better leader doesn't diminish your accomplishments. It shows wisdom and adaptability." Queen Vexandra studied Sarah's face intently. "You truly believe that, Edo? Then perhaps it is time for me to show that same wisdom and adaptability in other areas." The Queen turned to Dr. Webb. "Doctor, how much longer will the surgery require?" "Another 3 hours to complete the upgrades and ensure all systems are properly integrated." Then, we have 3 hours to identify the traitor and plan our response. The Queen looked back at Sarah. Admiral, I would like to request formal cooperation between your crew and General Kethvar's security team. Sarah's communicator buzzed before she could respond. Admiral, Hayes reported, we're receiving a priority communication from someone claiming to be Healer Voss aboard the Shadowbane. He says it's urgent. Put him through. Voss's voice filled the medical bay, tense with urgency. Admiral Chun, Your Majesty, we have a serious problem. I've been analyzing the security recordings from before the explosion, and I've discovered something disturbing. What kind of discovery? The Queen asked. The explosion wasn't an accident, Your Majesty. Someone planted a device in the engineering section, timed to detonate during your scheduled procedure. But that's not the most troubling part. Sarah felt her stomach drop. What's the most troubling part? The device was human technology, Admiral. Specifically, it was a prototype charge developed by Earth Military Research. Someone with access to classified human weapons technology wanted Your Majesty dead. The silence in the medical bay was deafening. Sarah stared at the Queen, whose expression had become unreadable, while Dr. Webb and Dr. Kumar exchanged worried glances. Admiral Chun, the Queen said finally, her voice dangerously quiet, it appears the conspiracy against me involves members of your own species. Sarah's mind raced through the implications. Your Majesty, I give you my word that neither I nor anyone under my command had any involvement in an assassination attempt. I believe you, Admiral, but the fact remains that someone with access to classified Earth technology tried to kill me using knowledge of my surgical schedule. Dr. Webb looked up from his work, his face pale. Your Majesty, there are only a handful of people who knew when your next procedure was scheduled. The security around that information was absolute. Then, our traitor is someone we trusted completely, the Queen concluded. Sarah's communicator buzzed again. Admiral, I hate to interrupt, but we have another problem. Long-range sensors are detecting a large fleet approaching our position. Configuration suggests they're Zephyrian vessels. How many ships? Sarah asked. At least 20, including several heavy cruisers. Admiral, if they're coming to investigate the Queen's death, they'll expect to find her body, the Queen finished. Admiral Chun, how long would it take for your ship to reach neutral space? At maximum speed, perhaps 6 hours. But, Your Majesty, that would mean abandoning the Shadowbane and General Kethvar. Unacceptable, the Queen said firmly. Dr. Webb, can the surgery be completed in less than 3 hours? Your Majesty, rushing the procedure could be dangerous. More dangerous than allowing my people to discover that their Queen is alive and hiding aboard a human ship while they believe her to be dead. Dr. Webb considered for a moment. I can complete the essential repairs in 2 hours, but the full upgrades would have to wait. Do it. The Queen turned back to Sarah. Admiral, I need you to contact General Kethvar and inform him that Queen Vexandra will be making a miraculous recovery in exactly 2 hours. Your Majesty, what about the conspiracy? The traitor could still be Admiral, the Queen interrupted. Sometimes the best way to catch a traitor is to give them exactly what they think they want. Her golden eyes gleamed with an intensity that reminded Sarah why this being was considered the most dangerous military leader in known space. I have a plan. Over the next hour, as Dr. Webb worked with desperate efficiency to complete the essential repairs to the Queen's enhanced systems, Sarah found herself coordinating a deception that would have been impossible without the trust they had built. The Queen's plan was audacious and risky, but it offered the best chance of exposing the conspiracy while maintaining the secrecy of her condition. Admiral, Dr. Kumar reported, the Queen's enhanced systems are responding beautifully to the repairs. Her cognitive processing speed has increased by 12%, and her physical capabilities are already exceeding pre-injury levels. The Queen, now sitting up on the surgical table despite Dr. Webb's protests, looked more alert and focused than Sarah had ever seen her. Admiral Chun, when my people arrive, they will expect to find evidence of my death. We're going to give them something better. We're going to give them a resurrection. Your Majesty, how exactly? Simple, Admiral. I'm going to appear to my fleet commanders and announce that reports of my death were greatly exaggerated. But first, I'm going to see who among my inner circle seems disappointed by this news. Sarah's communicator buzzed urgently. Admiral, the Zephyrian fleet is hailing us. They're demanding to speak with whoever is in command of the rescue operation. The Queen stood, her movements fluid and graceful despite having undergone major surgery just hours before. The human enhancements were clearly functioning at optimal levels. Put them through, Admiral, the Queen commanded, her voice carrying the absolute authority that had made her legendary. It's time for Queen Vexandra to return from the dead. The main view screen of the Defiance flickered to life, revealing the concerned face of Admiral Kethmore, one of the Queen's most trusted fleet commanders. His golden eyes widened in shock as Queen Vexandra stepped into view, looking more alive and vital than she had in years. Your Majesty, Kethmore stammered, the reports, we were told you were killed in the attack on the Shadowbane. As you can see, Admiral, those reports were somewhat premature, the Queen replied, her enhanced voice carrying a subtle power that made everyone on the bridge straighten unconsciously. I was indeed injured, but Admiral Chun and her medical team managed to save my life. Sarah watched the exchange carefully, noting how the Queen's movements were more fluid and precise than before. The human enhancements were clearly functioning at an unprecedented level. Your Majesty. Another voice came from off-screen, and Sarah recognized it as belonging to Lord Vexthera, one of the Queen's political advisors. We received confirmed reports of your death from multiple sources, including General Kethvar himself. General Kethvar was implementing emergency protocols to protect classified information, the Queen explained smoothly. The nature of my injuries required specialized treatment that could not be performed aboard the Shadowbane. Sarah noticed the slight pause before specialized treatment and realized the Queen was testing her advisors, seeing how they would react to hints about her condition. Specialized treatment? Lord Vexthera pressed. Your Majesty, what kind of injuries could require treatment aboard a human vessel? Before the Queen could respond, Sarah's tactical officer spoke up quietly. Admiral, I'm detecting an encrypted communication being transmitted from one of the Zephyrian ships to an unknown recipient outside the fleet. Sarah and the Queen exchanged glances. Can you trace the destination? Sarah asked. Working on it. Admiral, the signal is being routed through multiple relays, but the final destination appears to be in Calarian space. The Queen's expression didn't change, but Sarah could see the dangerous glint in her golden eyes. Lord Vexthera, she said calmly, I would like you to join me aboard the Defiance for a private briefing on recent events. Of course, Your Majesty. I'll transport over immediately. As the communication ended, the Queen turned to Sarah. Admiral, I believe we're about to identify our traitor. Your Majesty, are you certain? Lord Vexthera has served your family for decades, which would make him the perfect person to betray me, the Queen replied grimly. Someone with access to my schedule, knowledge of my medical needs, and the trust of my inner circle. Dr. Webb, who had been monitoring the Queen's enhanced systems throughout the conversation, looked up from his scanner. Your Majesty, your stress indicators are spiking. The new enhancements are responding to your emotional state more efficiently than the old ones, but you need to be careful not to overload the systems. Doctor, how much are the enhancements affecting my capabilities? Significantly, Your Majesty. Your reaction time is now 40% faster than baseline Zephyrian norms. Your cognitive processing speed has increased by 15%, and your physical strength and endurance are operating at levels that would be impossible for an unenhanced individual of your species. The Queen looked at her hands, flexing her fingers experimentally. I can feel the difference. It's as if everything around me has slowed down slightly. That's exactly what's happening, Dr. Webb confirmed. The neural enhancements are allowing your brain to process information faster than normal, creating the subjective experience of increased time perception. Sarah's communicator buzzed. Admiral, Lord Vexthera is requesting permission to come aboard. Granted, the Queen commanded. But, Admiral, I want your security teams to monitor everything. If Vextara is indeed our traitor, he may attempt something desperate when he realizes his plan has failed. 20 minutes later, Lord Vextara materialized in the Defiance's main conference room. He was a tall, elegant Zephyrian with the silver-blue skin of his species and the bearing of someone accustomed to political power. But Sarah noticed that his golden eyes held a nervousness that seemed at odds with his confident exterior. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing deeply, "I cannot express my relief at seeing you alive and, well, the reports of your death sent shockwaves throughout the Empire." "I'm sure they did," the Queen replied, settling into a chair at the head of the conference table. Sarah noticed that even this simple movement was performed with a grace and precision that hadn't been there before. "Tell me, Lord Vextara, how exactly did these reports spread so quickly?" "Your Majesty, General Kethvar sent an encrypted message to the High Council announcing your death. From there, the information was distributed through normal channels. And yet, the Queen said quietly, we detected an unauthorized communication being transmitted from your ship to Calarian space just moments after I reveal myself to be alive." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Lord Vextara's composure cracked slightly, but he maintained his facade. "Your Majesty, I have no knowledge of any unauthorized communications." "Don't you?" The Queen stood and walked around the table, her movements predatory and controlled. The enhancements were clearly affecting not just her physical capabilities, but her entire presence. "Tell me, old friend, how did the Calarians know exactly when to attack the Shadowbane?" "Your Majesty, I'm sure I don't understand. How did they know about my surgical schedule? How did they obtain classified human weapons technology to plant an explosive device in my ship's engineering section? How did they know to target me specifically when most of the galaxy believes Zephyrian military leadership is a collective responsibility?" With each question, Lord Vextara seemed to shrink further into himself. Sarah watched the interrogation with fascination, seeing how the Queen's enhanced cognitive abilities allowed her to read micro-expressions and body language with unprecedented accuracy. "Your Majesty," Vextara said finally, "if you're suggesting that I'm not suggesting anything," the Queen interrupted. "I am stating facts. You have been feeding information to the Calarian Coalition for months, haven't you? The question is why?" The silence stretched for a long moment before Vextara's shoulders slumped in defeat. "Because you're no longer Zephyrian," he said quietly. "Explain." 15 years ago, you were the greatest warrior our people had ever produced. Pure Zephyrian strength, intelligence, and courage. But then you were injured, and you allowed yourself to be contaminated by alien technology. The Queen's expression remained neutral, but Sarah could see the dangerous tension in her posture. "Contaminated? Your Majesty, you have been enhanced by human technology to the point where you are no longer truly one of us. Your victories, your strategic brilliance, your ability to inspire loyalty, all of it comes from alien augmentations, not from Zephyrian excellence. And this justifies treason? This justifies preserving the purity of our species," Vextara replied, his voice gaining strength as he committed fully to his position. "The Calarian Coalition offer me a way to expose your dependence on human technology and restore true Zephyrian leadership to the Empire." The Queen walked to the conference room's viewport and stared out at the assembled fleet. "Tell me, Lord Vextara, do you believe my enhanced capabilities make me a better leader or a worse one?" "That's not the point, Your Majesty. The point is that you are no longer what you appear to be." "No," the Queen said softly, turning back to face him. "The point is that I have always been exactly what the Zephyrian people needed me to be. A leader strong enough to protect them, intelligent enough to guide them, and wise enough to accept help when it was necessary." She activated a control panel, and the conference room's view screen displayed tactical readouts from dozens of battles over the past 15 years. Every one of these victories was achieved because I was willing to use every advantage available to me. Human technology didn't make me weak. It made me stronger than any purely Zephyrian leader could have been. Sarah's communicator buzzed urgently. Admiral, we're detecting multiple ship movements. The Calarian fleet is approaching at high speed, and they're being followed by ships of unknown configuration. The Queen looked at the tactical display with her enhanced perception, processing information faster than anyone else in the room. Admiral Chun, how long before the Calarians arrive? 37 minutes at current speed. And the unknown ships? 45 minutes. Admiral, the unknown vessels are broadcasting human identification codes. Sarah felt her heart skip. Human? How many ships? 12 vessels, including what appears to be a Dreadnought-class warship. Admiral, that's the UES Prometheus, Admiral Rodriguez's flagship. The Queen turned to Lord Vextera, whose face had gone pale. It appears your Calarian allies have decided to complete their mission personally. And it seems Admiral Chen's people have arrived to even the odds. Your Majesty, Vextera said desperately, if you would just consider— I have considered, the Queen interrupted. And I have made my decision. Guards! 2 of Sarah's security officers enter the conference room. Lord Vextera will be confined to quarters until this crisis is resolved, the Queen commanded. He is to have no access to communications equipment. As the guards escorted the disgraced lord from the room, Sarah turned to the Queen. Your Majesty, what happens now? We have a Calarian fleet approaching, a human fleet arriving from the other direction, and your own people expecting leadership during a crisis. Now, Admiral Chun, we demonstrate what happens when human innovation and Zephyrian determination work together. The Queen activated the room's communication system. General Kethvar, this is Queen Vexandra. Prepare the fleet for battle. We're going to show the galaxy what real strength looks like. Over the next 30 minutes, Sarah watched the Queen coordinate a battle strategy that utilized the combined capabilities of Zephyrian, human, and her own enhanced abilities. Her cognitive processing speed allowed her to analyze tactical data faster than any normal commander, while her enhanced strategic thinking revealed patterns and opportunities that others missed. When the Calarian fleet arrived, they found themselves facing a coordinated defense that anticipated their every move. The Queen's enhanced capabilities allowed her to predict their tactical decisions with uncanny accuracy, while the combined human and Zephyrian technologies created defensive and offensive capabilities neither side could have achieved alone. Admiral Chun, the Queen said as they watched the battle unfold on the tactical display, your people's willingness to risk themselves for an ally has not gone unnoticed. When this crisis is over, I believe it will be time for a new kind of relationship between our species. What kind of relationship, Your Majesty? The kind based on mutual respect rather than mutual tolerance. The kind that recognizes that true strength comes not from purity, but from the wisdom to accept help and offer it in return. As the Calarian fleet found themselves overwhelmed by the coordinated response and began to withdraw, the Queen turned to Sarah with a slight smile. Admiral, you asked me once about the sensitivity of my chest plate. The truth is that it protects not just the technology that keeps me alive, but the symbol of what our species can accomplish when they work together rather than apart. The battle was won, the conspiracy was exposed, and the secret of the Queen's enhancements remained safe. But, more importantly, the foundation had been laid for a new era of cooperation between humanity and the Zephyrian Empire. Your Majesty, Sarah said as they watched the stars, mind that. It's not sensitive anymore, is it? No, Admiral Chun, the Queen replied. Thanks to you, it never will be again. In the weeks that followed, the alliance between humanity and the Zephyrian Empire would evolve into something unprecedented in galactic history. A partnership based not on convenience or necessity, but on genuine mutual respect and shared strength. And at the heart of it all would be the memory.